Most annoying things in Classic WoW.
You know, World of Warcraft is now pretty old. Even Classic WoW was released nearly 6 years ago at this point. And if there's
Why would he start the video like that? Making me freaking... stop!
one thing that's pretty clear about the classic versions is that it's not all nostalgia that made the re-releases popular. Classic WoW is one of the very few games that has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Even decades later, after the original release, it's still a great game to play.
True.
However, being so old does come with some flaws. So strap in, grab yourself a snack, and let's take a look at some of the most annoying things in classic World of Warcraft. Gathering professions are core skills within the game, great for supplying yourself with materials, making gold, and testing your patience.
True.
The amount of times you can fail attempts at skinning, herbing, and mining, even while being at a suitable level, can be pretty annoying. A few phases ago in Season of Discovery, I would farm Zul'Gurub crocs for bijous, coins, and skinning for rugged leather.
Yeah.
It took me longer to skin all of the crocs than it did to do the entire run because of the sheer amount of fails even with the skinning enchant. And with
It is weird how you can fail a pickup when you're that high. Oh, the worst thing is when you're over there and you're trying to pick up a Lotus or like a Thorium Vein, and then some little piece of is coming over, and then he tries to yoink it when you fail it, and then you get, oh my, it's the worst.
We've all been there where you found a herb in the open world only to fail the attempt 3 times and someone comes along and just snags it from in front of you.
Flat paths. Oh. Base.
Now let's talk about layering.
Just don't get dazed, chat. You guys know this, man. Turn your way to the mob that attacks you, don't get dazed. But that doesn't change the fact that if you have aspect of the daze on, you still get dazed no matter what.
Understand why layering is in the game, and it's most probably a good thing as a whole, but it's still extremely annoying. Sometimes no matter what you do, you just can't get onto the layer where you need to be, and there's plenty of times where I've needed an enchant and the game just won't layer you.
Layering is kind of like a... It is what it is, right? It's... They can't figure out how to stabilize the servers without having them not run like shit, so they do layering. It's another way that a certain private server called Chronos... Yes, I think it was Chronos. How they dealt with it, I think that the way Nostalgia's dealt with this too, was that whenever there was a lot of people within a certain vicinity in a zone, they would decrease the what is it called, the fog of war, essentially, where you could see other people and players, which means that like mobs would like zone out after 20 yards, which was ridiculous. It made that the servers could run a lot more smoothly, but it also made it so you couldn't see very far. The view distance, exactly, the view distance of mobs and NPCs was super low. Layers, I don't know, there might be like a better way of going about it. But I feel like it's one of the better ways that they could actually fix big mega servers without having it be horrible. So it sucks, but it's also kind of nice. Because, you know, would you rather have like 10 layers on a server or sit in a 5-hour queue to log in? You know? Thank you, by the way, for the sub, BBQ. Oh my god, lol.
There's been plenty of times where I've been leveling and invited people to do quests, and you've got to wait 10 minutes to get on the layer. An example with bad layering was in Phase 2 of Season of Discovery during the Blood Moon events. It was common to get layered away from your party during the event due to...
True. Layering kind of fucked this whole thing up.
The amount of people in one area. I personally think being able to choose your layer would be great, and if a layer is full, then you just can't join that layer. But people can still choose to join your layer if your layer is free, and maybe put a small 5-minute cooldown on it to stop people from constantly layer hopping for herbs and such like that.
It is a bit weird, right? But I feel like overall how they have layering is pretty okay, honestly. Yeah, and I think there's probably add-ons to choose layers too. There is, right? Like, it's not that bad, but I get it. There is some pretty annoying things about layering, honestly. You need layers to get materials for raiding. Very true as well.
This reminds me a little bit of how RuneScape was when I played that years ago. You would choose a world to join, which you could say is essentially the same thing as having a different layer in World of Warcraft. And
I still did think about doing that RuneScape meme with the stream, where we play like a week of RuneScape and see how far we can go. I don't know, perhaps it could be fun, perhaps not, but it would be fun to try to test out some other MMOs as well. You know what I thought about as well, chat? And this is something I would unironically just straight up do for my own selfish nostalgia. I want to do a stream, just one day. Just one stream, one day, where we play Age of Conan MMO. I remember playing it as a kid, and I had so much fun playing with it for like a week. And I think it could be giga fun just for one stream to do some Age of Conan. Because it has the most weird, strange combat system. Where like you have to do a, let's say you want to do an aimed shot, right? You clicked aim shot, and you gotta do a sequence of like arrow keys. So you gotta click up, down, left, down, up, down, right, right? And then if you don't do it correctly, it doesn't do the ability. It's really funky. I actually think maybe sometime after Mass Effect, we should do an Age of Conan stream. I really actually want to do it. I think that'd be so fun, you know? It wouldn't be something I would play long term, but just do like, I don't know, 8 hours of Age of Conan one day for stream and then just send it, right? Also, I know that you can decapitate people in that game. You can do, if you kill someone with a crit in Age of Conan, you literally decapitate them. It's so crazy. Oh my god. Regardless, that could be fun. That's something that I think could be fun to do. You know, maybe after Mass Effect 2 or something like that, we would try to do that, right?
Point you could log out of your world and change to a different one. I really like trolls. Most people think they're ugly, and sure, they are trolls. They're supposed to be ugly.
Conan over. Hey, Eluners, you know we kill game complainers, okay? We literally murder game complainers.
But man, it is so annoying that no matter what, your toes are always poking out.
Hey,
dismounting
talking shit about the trolls?
Out in the open world is one of the most annoying things. A prime example of this is those horrible ass bug caves that you find throughout the world. Passing by the entrances where you're 100% outdoors, and just because your horse even so breathes onto the edge of one of these, you get dismounted. Or what about
eventually you learn what will dismount you and what not will. I think right here, isn't it these parts here? I think this will dismount you, right? Like here. But like if you go here, it won't. If I remember correctly.
The one that annoys me the most, which is the steps going into Zul'Gurub.
Yeah.
This one is just a gamble. Half of the time you fly up there, no problems. The other half of the time you just get dismounted. The worst part about being dismounted here is that if your faction isn't currently in control of the entrance outside, you're probably going to end up dying and having to do a corpse run.
Yeah,
whereas
it's based on server ticks. Exactly.
if you're on a mount, you still stand a chance of making it in. If you play a class that can buff people, you would definitely have had this one done to you. You're in a dungeon or a raid buffing people up, and as you go to drink you realise you're in combat, because warriors using blood rage puts them in combat, which puts you in combat from buffing them. And then you just stand there like a lemon with no mana, unable to drink, and the tanks just go and pull.
Yep.
Pretty fun. Random disconnects. And I'm not talking about because of your internet or even because of the game's server, but
even worse than hardcore.
Some places in the game that if you hit the right spot, you'll instantly disconnect. There is a ton of these spots around the world, but the one that always stuck with me was the tents inside the building where you would queue up for battlegrounds in Orgrimmar. Back in 2019 Classic, when I was ranking up my mage, often while waiting for a queue to pop, I would jump around these tents, and every so often you would just get randomly disconnected.
I never really had that happen on those, and I jumped around a lot on those guys. I went rank 14. So, yeah.
Let's now do a quick fire round of one annoying thing for each class. Paladins. Auto attack into level 60 just to wear a dress.
You know what? That's what you fucking get. Put on that dress. Start healing me.
Warlocks. Soul shard farming and shards not stacking.
True.
Warriors. Parry parry miss dodge. Parry parry miss dead.
Hey. Don't you dare talk shit about dodges. Getting a dodge is the most satisfying thing on a warrior ever, because you get to do an overpower afterwards. Ooh, I am praying for every mob to dodge. Oh, I'm just hoping for the dodge. That dodge better goddamn happen so I can get a fat overpower. Ooh.
Mages.
By the way, that was Savix dying in hardcore that he showed.
Miss dodge, parry parry miss dead. Mages.
Oh boo-hoo. Oh boo-hoo. So your 15-second cooldown displacement ability that removes slow and stun sometimes doesn't go through terrain as well. Oh, so now you can only make food for yourself, craft mana potions for yourself, make drinks for yourself, teleport to every single major city in the game as well, and also have the most ridiculous toolset in the whole game. Oh, but sometimes your blink messes up. Oh, goddamn, dude. All my homies hate mage mains. Actually true.
Druids, not being able to use potions while in form.
That would be OP. No, that would be OP. Imagine sitting in Dire Bear form and popping a major healing potion. Not having to swap out of form. That's just disgusting.
Hunters, losing an entire bag slot to a quiver. Rogues, losing combo points when switching targets.
True, but if rogues didn't lose combo points while swapping, they would be the most OP class in the game by far. You could just build up combo points on something else, swap over to another player, and then get an insta 5-shot eviscerate or kidney shot. It sucks, but I understand the reasoning for it. Yeah, that changing this would make them the most OP class in the game, for sure.
This especially hurts when needing to kick another target. Shamans. Yes, I say shaman, not shaman, it's my accent, deal with it. Having to set each totem one by one and not being able to recall them. And lastly, priests. Never being able to power ward shield warriors because they generate no rage.
True, but if you could do that, warriors would, again, imagine shielding a warrior with full biz gear, they generate rage, and they can be attacked. That would be fucking disgusting.
There's a ton of other annoying things for each class as well. Let me know which is the most annoying for you.
Just save the combo points on the target. It would still be really OP, I think. If a rogue could, like... No, I played rogue in vanilla a lot, and I feel like, unironically, rogue is very balanced as it is. Even though it would be nice to be able to swap over your combo points. Honestly, man, all things considered, Blizzard did a really freaking good job balancing vanilla WoW. It is the most unbalanced, but also balanced game there is. It's weird, because it's very rock, paper, scissors, but I feel like that's also the charm of vanilla.
Questing is one of the best aspects to classic WoW.
No, I genuinely think that. It's not a balanced game at all. It really isn't. But I feel like that's what makes it good. The fact that it's very like rock, paper, scissors, like this class beats that class, but that class, it's like, you know, bing, bong, bang. I think it's nice. Am I cooked for saying that? The fact that it's not balanced is what makes it balanced and what makes it fun.
But that being said, some quests are pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Especially some of the drop rate quests. Now, don't get me wrong, I love questing and I don't mind some quests taking long or having lowish drop rates, but some are ridiculous. Like the one in Stranglethorn where you need to collect 25 necklaces from trolls and the drop rate is absolutely abysmal.
Honestly though, these quests do suck, but it's also like killing the mobs is 80% of the XP that you even get. So it's you know.
There's another quest in Stranglethorn called Mock Thardins, I think, enchantment, where you need to find a pristine tigress fang. And oh boy, it's pristine alright with how bad that drop rate is.
True.
But I think it's okay when all you need is one, not 25 like the troll.
Most satisfying thing ever, man. Going to Teneris, oh my god, you go down, get the Laden Duke land, you get it first try into an instant spawn of Tuga, into an instant chicken escort, double escort turn in, into the Laden Duke land. Ooh, man.
Necklaces. While we're talking about the trolls in Stranglethorn, those Blood Scout boys are a nuisance if you're a melee class, because they constantly net you, run back a few yards, and slowly whittle you down.
True.
Is there anything really more annoying than Murlocs?
Probably the worst mob in the game, yeah. They have net, they run fast, they have healing potions, they call to each other. Murlocs are actually, I think... Yeah, I think they are the overall worst race in World of Warcraft to fight. They also swim fast. They usually have poison. They're just overall the worst. Yeah, genuinely, they are.
Okay, now, this one isn't really the game's fault, but do you guys ever forget to press enter before typing to chat, and instead just end up moving all around, opening all kinds of menus and burning cooldowns by accident? Because every so often, it happens to me.
It is what it is.
World buffs. Some people love them, some people hate them.
world buffs are the worst and the best part about vanilla WoW, I think. They are just such an integral part of the game. I will say, having chrono boons made them a lot more tolerable. Vanilla WoW before chrono boon, oh, kids these days don't even understand the pain of that. Oh my god. Okay, let's start by going to Orgrimmar. Alright, let's go. So, we're gonna go pick up our Unixia buff in Orgrimmar. Afterwards, we're gonna be summoned over to the CG Island, pay a Warlock 10 gold for a summon to CG Island, get a buff from CG Island. Afterwards, we're getting summoned over to Fillwood up in a tree so you don't get ganked by the Alliance that are sitting there and camping you. So you can jump down to a Songflower, pick the Songflower with 10 other people because you need to do a buffing train. Afterwards, you need to log out and then Hearthstone back to Orgrimmar. Afterwards, getting a summon to the backside of Diamol because there is a Diamol guy selling Diamol buffs without having to clear the boss. So you pay him 20 gold to summon you into Diamol and also get summoned into the end boss of Diamol so you can pick up the buffs inside of Diamol. And after that, you need to make sure you get your Blast Lance buffs right before the raid as well, and also make sure that you go over and you go back to Orgrimmar so you can get ready for the rent buff that's also being popped at a separate cooldown. Or you need to be Alliance and get mind controlled by a Horde player also to get mind controlled into the Crossroads so you can get the rent buff from the Crossroads, but don't get killed by the Horde players in the process before you do that. And then you're gonna make sure that if you're going to do AQ40 to get summoned on top of the gates for AQ40 so you can jump into the gate and also log out right before the raid begins so you can actually do your raid with world buffs. Love world buffs. Chrono boons are so much better, chat. Okay, trust me, they are so much better.
And before chrono boons were introduced into the game, they were definitely a frustrating part of classic WoW. But regardless of
and also you can get dispelled. I didn't even mention that. Yeah, keep in mind, guys, you can also get dispelled.
Boons, there is still one world buff in particular that sucks to get sometimes, and that's the Darkmoon Fair buff. Half of the time, it's not a problem because it's in your faction zone, but when it's in the enemy faction zone, it becomes a nightmare to grab.
I forgot about that. In my little rant I just had, I completely forgot about Darkmoon Fair even. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, dude.
Top of the fact that if you fail,
you know what? You know how you would get Darkmoon Fair, man? You would go over to the Darkmoon Fair, obviously, right? You would enter a party with a person in the major city. They would queue you up for a battleground. You would run up to Sage with like a lip or something like that, limited invulnerability potion. Talk to Sage, get your buff, take the queue into a battleground because you can take that in combat, and then leave the battleground so you're back in your major city and log out. It's so dumb. Oh my god.
At getting away with the buff and die, you are put on a 4-hour in-game cooldown before you can receive another Darkmoon Fair buff.
And you know what? And after all that happens, guys, you know what then goes down in the raid? You die on the first boss because your tanks are morons. And then you lose all your world buffs that you just spent so long to get.
This part is the reason it's annoying. Not necessarily because it's hard to get in the enemy zones, but the fact that you get locked to a 4-hour in-game cooldown if you die with it. Now, we've all been there. Inside a dungeon, raid, or maybe even a cave questing, you've got a hunter with you, who has about as much control over his pet as a British person next to a cup of tea. I don't know what it is with you hunters and those bloody pets, but some of your level 10 pet licenses need revoking.
True.
One of the most frustrating things about playing on the Alliance and doing PvP is the Orcs racial called Hardiness, which gives...
I love Hardiness. Oh my god. You know how many angry people I had DMing me about playing an Orc Rogue, dude? They were like, dude, Will of the Forsaken is so good, man. You get immunity to fear, dude. Bro, 25% stun resist is so fucking good.
Gives the player a 25% chance to resist stuns. As a Paladin main, it feels like my Hammer of Justice just never hits Orcs. And one of the most frustrating things about playing on the Horde for PvP is having to wait an eternity to even get into a battleground.
True.
I usually play a mage on the Horde during classic versions of the game, and to be fair, even I get annoyed at the Paladins telling eye for an eye, because when you get a fat crit, you take what feels like a third of your health bar in return.
Yeah.
If you're a tank or a healer, you'll know all about logging into the game and instantly getting whispered.
Yeah.
It's nice to be needed, but sometimes it can get a little annoying, especially if you just want to chill. Or what about being a mage and literally just being in a capital city? Hey,
that's what you fucking get. Go hide in the sewer somewhere.
Man, hey, can I buy a portal to Ironforge? like brother, just hop on the flight path or deep run tram. The most annoying thing about Classic WoW as a whole for me though is that I'm a Ret Paladin main, and Ret Paladins aren't considered a viable raiding spec in Classic. This also isn't just annoying for Ret Paladins, but DPS Shamans, Shadow Priests, Boomkins, and a few other specs too. Of course you can always play what you want and in any way that you want, but it's not very fun being the lowest DPS and feeling like you're being carried and taking best in slot gear from specs that actually do way more damage. But you know what? I still wouldn't change it for Classic. And in general, I still wouldn't change pretty much anything here for Classic WoW. Because in a way, that's what makes the game so good. It's perfectly imperfect. However, this is the reason I and many people want a constantly updated and fully budgeted Classic Plus. Because although I have played through Classic countless times and probably will continue to do so, it would be so cool to expand onto it with brand new dungeons, raids, zones, balancing, gear, art and gameplay, but all within the same Classic setting and style that we know and love.
Somewhat that is what we're getting at the moment with SOD, but I think for my own taste, I think SOD is a bit too extreme with all the crazy stuff. I do think it's cool, don't get me wrong, but SOD for me is definitely not Classic Plus. It's just its own thing, which is completely fair.
Karazhan Crypts and the Scarlet Enclave from Season of Discovery are both great examples of this in my opinion. But anyway, all of that could be for a different video. I just wanted to end it on a little bit of hopium there. Let me know what the most annoying thing is about Classic WoW for you. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.
This was really good. I actually liked watching this. I felt quite, I don't know, I felt quite nostalgic. I haven't played WoW in a little while, and it's a game I'll always be able to return to and have fun with, man. God damn, I love this game.